Licensed Mental Health Professions, presented by Ashley, Kaylee, and Karina for Colorado Christian University.
My job was to go over professional counseling and clinical psychology, and they are pretty similar in their approach to schooling, as well as the requirements that are needed to get your license and the history behind them. So I'm just going to hit the high points in order to keep us under time. The practice professional counseling includes, but is not limited to, the diagnosis and treatment of mental, emotional disorders, including addictive disorders, the psychoeducational techniques aimed at the prevention of such disorders, consultations to individuals, couples, families, groups, and organizations, and research into most effective therapeutic treatment. That is from the Clinical Association of 2004. Professional counselors are kind of like the general practitioner of the counseling field. If we were to compare them to doctors, they see a multitude of different people with different issues and are required to help them. The Myers-Briggs that is most likely to be a counselor is an EFP, because they have excellent people skills, in addition to having abundance of enthusiasm and general care about others. Some of their strengths include warm, enthusiastic, empathetic, caring, strong people, strong communication skills, fun, spontaneous, and highly creative. This is from the Cherry article of 2019 that is referred to in the reference page. However, this does not mean that the personality type is solely included in that. It's just that in the studies that they've done, an ENFP was the highest ranked among clinical psychologists. Following an INFP, which is known for being loyal, devoted, sensitive to feelings, and caring and interested in others, and works well and values close relationships and is good at seeing the big picture. This is also from the Cherry article 2019. The qualifications to become a professional counselor and clinical psychologist in the state of Colorado is you need to get a bachelor's in psychology or a related field, and then you need to get into a master's program, and you either have to take a GRE or are grandfathered into a program like CCU does usually. Next, you must complete the master's program in counseling, which in Colorado requires a 2-year program of practice under the licensed professional, and it also requires 2,000 hours, in which it breaks down to about 1,000 hours a year, which is about 20 hours a week. This often takes about 3 years. And after your master's degree, you can choose to apply for a doctorate degree, but that is not necessary. You also are required to get your testing. I'm sorry, I lost my place. You're required to do your testing for the Colorado boards, and then you're required to submit your application to DORA with your proof of counseling hours, as well as your master's degree and the test score that you took. Some organizations that help with LPCS or clinical psychologists are the AAMST Foundation, and that brings clinicians, researchers, educators to share current research and improve marriage and family counseling standards. The American Counseling Association, this organization seeks to advance professional counseling standards and promote and increase accessibility to therapy nationwide. Colorado Department of Regulations, or DORA, and that is where you can figure out what your licensing lets you do, what's required of you, how many CE credits you need to take, which are continuing education credits, and basically everything that you need to do to keep your licensing. Under the history of counseling and clinical psychology, Freud is still considered the grandfather of modern psychology, and his use of psychoanalyzing is still being used today. And he is the one who many new psychologists and sociologists piggybacked off of. including Carl Roberts and Andrew Maslow. Carl Roberts was really forward-thinking in free will, power of thought, while Maslow showed us that we need to meet basic needs in order to help somebody's mental health. So their food and their shelter need to be taken care of before we can treat their mental health. Maslow proved because it helps them walk in an abundant life.
Marriage and family therapists. What are they? Marriage and family therapists help enhance communication and understanding among family members. This means that they take couples, families, and extended families and counsel them all together as a group to help them better understand each other's wants and needs and communicate on a more efficient level. This type of therapy is typically long-term. It can last anywhere between 12 and 60 weeks. Marriage and family therapists can be found working in a wide variety of environments, including mental health centers, hospitals, treatment centers, government departments, post-secondary institutions, churches, and so many more. The start of marriage and family therapy. Marriage and family therapy is still a fairly new concept considering it wasn't really established as a study until the middle of the 20th century. The concept perhaps started in the 1800s when charity organization studies and other programs geared toward helping families get on their feet started to come about. These groups would help families for several years by helping to educate the children, providing moral support and guidance, as well as providing items such as food or other necessities. The idea of working with the family as a whole spurred somewhat of a movement. The movement began to take a distinct form when Alfred Adler began his child guidance clinics. Though they never had any sessions with the whole family, while Adler and his group were helping the children, the parents would often come to speak privately with the therapist about their children. This suggested that the well-being of one member of the family may impact the family as a whole, a new idea at the time. The model of family therapy we see today largely came from a study done by Gregory Bateson in which he looked to determine how individuals communicate in systems, particularly families who had schizophrenic members. He wanted to see how schizophrenic individuals were impacted by the members of the family with power. The study sparked many groups and other studies done on the communication between couples and families, leading to the therapy that we understand today. Education and licensing requirements for marriage and family therapists in the state of Colorado. To become a marriage and family therapist, you'll need to attend a program that is accredited by either the Commission on Accreditation for Marital and Family Therapy Education or the Council on the Accreditation of Counseling and Related Educational Programs. You'll need to get a bachelor's degree in psychology, psychiatry, clinical social work, or a similar field, and then proceed on to get your master's degree. Your degree program must include 300 hours of practicum or internship experience. After you graduate with your master's degree, you'll need to obtain 2,000 hours of supervised clinical experience over a period of at least 2 years. Of that 2,000 hours, 1,500 hours must be spent face-to-face in direct contact with a client, and 1,000 hours must be spent working with couples or families in diagnosing, assessing, and intervention. You must also pass a state licensure exam and maintain this license through continuing education throughout your career. After you've received your license, you'll need to join either the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists or the International Association of Marriage and Family Counselors. Ethical dilemmas of marriage and family therapists. Though all branches of psychology have ethical dilemmas they must learn to overcome, there are some situations unique to marriage and family therapy. Marriage and family therapists can choose to withhold treatment unlike any other form of psychology, though they must be able to prove that it's necessary to do so. Confidentiality is extremely difficult to maintain in family counseling, especially if one or more of the members are also being seen individually. Marriage and family therapists must find a way to maintain the confidentiality of a private session while trying to resolve issues in the family sessions. Insurance fraud, while always something a counselor should be cautious of, is especially something to watch for while treating a couple or family. It is important that counselors know how to collect fees for their services to ensure that they're not billing incorrectly and committing insurance fraud by only charging one member for a family session. Each member should be charged individually.
Clinical social work is a specialty area of social work which focuses on the assessment, diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of mental illness, emotional, and other behavioral disturbances. Individual, group, and family therapy are common treatment modalities for clinical social workers. Clinical social workers can be found in places such as hospitals, private practice, primary care, community health clinics, rehabilitation clinics, and even churches. Clinical social workers' educational and licensing requirements. The student must obtain a master's degree in social work from a graduate program accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. They must complete a total of 30 contact hours of post-degree continuing professional education specific to clinical social work obtained within the past 2 years. They must take and pass the Colorado Mental Health Professions Jurisprudence Examination, complete a healthcare professions profiling program, a series of questions concerning practice during one's online application. This profile is required for healthcare professionals in Colorado. Documentation of at least 3 years of paid, supervised, post-degree clinical social work employment in an agency or organization that provides mental health assessment and treatment. Adherence to the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics and the National Association of Social Workers Standards for Continuing Professional Education. The National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics is the most widely accepted standard for social work ethical practice worldwide. Their code of ethics is extensive and includes things such as the use of technology during a session, prior consent before searching for information online about a client, and the understanding of cultural diversity. History of social workers. Traditionally, social workers have worked with underprivileged individuals and family systems. It wasn't until recently that social workers began to provide different types of therapy services to clients. Social work started out of the hearts of people desiring to help the poor, hurting, and lost. In the 1800s, the population grew and created a large amount of underprivileged people who could not be treated by traditional charitable organizations. To assist with this crisis, 2 major approaches of social work evolved. The Charity Organization Society had volunteers who would visit and serve the underprivileged. They offered services such as childhood education, advice, and help to ease the stress of poverty on the population. The settlement movement had staff who would actually live within the underprivileged population, a lot like church missionaries do today. In response to these two approaches, at the turn of the century, the first social work training program began. Social work organizations and associations. The National Association of Social Workers offers several different types of memberships. All annual dues are based on the highest completed degree. Regular memberships are $236 for master's, doctorates, and PhDs, $179 for bachelor's degrees. The social work student membership is $60 for bachelor's and master's degrees, and $179 for doctoral and PhD students. There are associate memberships for students who are not in the social work field. Those associate memberships run $60 a year. They also offer transitional memberships for graduating students. Some great reasons to join is their Career Center, liability insurance, online community of NAS members, and social work advocacy. To become a clinical social worker, you must attend an accredited Council of Social Work Education graduate program. Signing up for a membership has great benefit. Their membership offers educational resources, directory of accredited resources, a career center, and the Journal of Social Work Education. A student membership is $55 for the undergraduate graduate student and $95 for the doctoral student. The International Federation of Social Workers is a great place to connect globally with colleagues. It is a great opportunity to create and participate in international, regional, or local social work or social justice campaigns. You also get free online access to their International Social Work Journal, and articles date back to 1959. The cost of a student membership is 25 Swiss francs, and an individual membership is 50 Swiss francs. I conducted a telephone interview with Ayana McCullough, licensed professional counselor and associate of Monet's Counseling Services. I was able to get in contact with Ayana through Psychology Today. She easily agreed to be interviewed for our final project. Ms. McCullough has a master's degree in psychology from Capella University and is licensed in the state of Colorado. She has been practicing for 4 years and has worked with many different groups and individuals. She has done group therapy for the Colorado prison system. However, she does not run any groups at this time. She offers several different types of therapy to her clients, such as CBT, DBT, family, marital, solution-focused, and strength-based therapy. She was an absolute delight to work with and was happy to help with whatever information we needed. The following slides will outline the answers provided during the interview.